Hey guys, thanks for joining me again this week. Let's get painting. Now this week, one thing I want to talk to you guys about is something very important. I think all of us are going to find ourselves struggling with this, and that's how to find your style, your specific voice when it comes to your chosen passion. Now, you're here watching a painting video with me, so I'm going to talk to you about drawing and painting, but what I'm going to tell you guys, I think kind of applies to anything. So if you are into woodworking or into ceramics or almost anything, even like things like makeup or anything that has a creative outlet to it that you spend a lifetime working on, I think follows this same type of idea. Now, spoiler alert here, I'm not one who's crazy about that term style, quote unquote. Personally, I've come to realize that over the course of our lives, what we do in our little creative field, for me that's going to be painting, it changes. The artwork that you do when you're 5 is dramatically different than when you're 15, right? Well, believe it or not, the artwork you do when you're 25 is going to be very different than when you're 35. And it's going to be worlds different from when you're, 45 to when you're 65. However, there is kind of this center point where you can say, oh, well, so-and-so over there is a surrealist painter, or he does a lot of horror work, like myself, or someone is a cartoonist. So you might start out life thinking you're going to do one thing and find yourself doing another. And I think, personally, I've kind of broken it down in such a way that it makes a little bit of sense. And I want to share my theory with you guys. Maybe this will make sense to you. I think that we go through phases in our lives. Obviously we do. But when it comes to our artwork, we go through specific phases. So personally, I think that for the first 10 years of our life, we're drawing and painting and, we're essentially playing with the medium. We're not trying to accomplish anything. We're just being kind of youthful and fruitful, and we're doing things because they feel good to do. And if you are young enough and you have a good enough memory, you can bring yourself back to when you were like 5 or 6 years old. At that point, you're doing things for a very tactile feeling. So it's not just, drawing on a piece of paper, your dog with crayons, right? The reason you're doing it on the wall is because it feels better to do it big and to reaching up and doing this huge thing. Of course, you're going to get into a lot of shit for that, and I'm sure your mom came yelling at you because you just drew on the wall. But you didn't do it because, oh, well, I want to copy so-and-so's, this artist that I think is wonderful, and he does everything on the wall, so I should do it on the wall. No, it's literally, it feels better to make those shapes with your arm extended a different way. So when you're a little kid, it's very tactile, it's very, I would say, playfully based. But once you get into your teens, and for argument's sake, I'm going to say that this block goes from 11 years old to 20 years old. This whole time frame you're spending focusing on how to specifically do certain techniques. So you might start out, trying to achieve something like anime. Let's say you have a favorite anime, you love to draw it, you want to, for me, when I was in high school and I was in middle school, I wanted to draw stuff like Dragon Ball Z. And I drew a lot of terrible anime, but I was constantly trying to draw this same thing over and over again. And that was part of the learning process. So I would focus on getting the hands right. Once I got a little bit older, like around 16, 17. By the time I was 18 or 19, I was trying to draw faces, feet. I was trying to focus on drawing more realistic, more detailed, getting better value, better shading, making things look round, smooth, textured, trying to create full scenes. I didn't have a style at the point in my life. All I had was practice and techniques, different things that I was attempting to accomplish. But by the time I hit 20, that started to change. And I think that when you're about 20 years old, at that point, you've figured out all the basics, and now you're going to start moving towards something else. So you're going to experiment a little bit with different types of art. Maybe you're going to do like I did. You're going to go from drawing with pencil and paper to something like oil paint. In my early 20s, I was obsessed with oil painting. Oh my god, it was the bee's knees. I eventually changed from acrylic to now watercolor. I'm 33, so for me, I think watercolor is probably going to stay for a little while. But the main difference is that during that period, I had kind of figured out what is the most comfortable to do, and I have a certain look that I really gravitate towards. So personally, I believe that once you're about 30 years old, give or take, you're going to find your style. So you might find it as young as 25, or maybe a little bit older, 35. Now granted, if you're entering the art world at 20 or at 30, you're going to have to kind of go through a lot of this stuff cramped and quickly. But if you started like I did as a little kid and just progressed naturally as you got older, 30 I think is about the time when you're going to find your style. How you get there is a process where I can't today tell you, oh, all you have to do is A, B, and C, and you'll be there. It's more of a time thing. So it's like growing, you know. How do you tell a 10-year-old how to grow a beard? You can't. You know, you have to wait. And I think that if you're a young artist who's looking to find your style, you really have to wait. You know, if you're young and you don't know how to draw, get drawing. Learn how to draw. Draw things that you like. You know, if you really love a certain cartoon or you really love a certain artist, try to draw what they draw. Try to copy and mimic as much as you can. And focus on things that you can't do. You have a hard time drawing faces, expressions, hands, feet, full figures. Really focus on them. Don't really think too much about what your style is going to be. Just learn the basics. Once you get into your 20s, then you can focus on like trying to find different mediums and different looks lead you to where you're going to end up. By the time you're 30, I'm pretty sure you're going to be there. For my father, he had his style by the time he was 30. For me, I also think I have it now that I'm 33. It takes time and it's going to change, but it's really a time thing. There's no tricks to it. So if you're struggling to find your style, relax. Just go through the motions, draw what you need to learn, and experiment, and you'll get there. That's just how it works. Alright, so thanks for joining me today, guys. If you enjoyed my little babbling, hit that like button. And if you'd like to see more paintings by me, I'll be doing one of these every week. Every Wednesday, I'll be releasing a new video. Please subscribe, and I hope to see more of you. Alright, till next week.